The U.S. honey market. Americans consume roughly 450 million pounds of honey per year. The country produces less than half of that domestically, importing the rest in barrels from dozens of nations. What reaches the consumer's jar, however, is not always what the label describes. Honey is classified by the FDA as one of the most economically motivated adulteration targets in the global food supply, meaning it is systematically faked for profit. That is the industry being examined here. The U.S. honey supply chain. Roughly 79% of imported honey into the United States arrives from just 4 countries: India, Argentina, Brazil, and Vietnam, according to USDA 2023 import data. The bulk of this arrives not in retail jars but in 55-gallon drums, which are then purchased by domestic packers who bottle and label the product under American brand names. The consumer has no direct visibility into what country's fields the honey came from or what was blended into the drum before it crossed a port of entry. Economically motivated adulteration. The FDA defines this category, officially abbreviated EMA, as the intentional substitution or addition of a substance to increase apparent value or reduce production cost. For honey, this typically means blending with undeclared sweeteners: corn syrup, rice syrup, beet sugar syrup, or cane sugar. These additives are cheaper than actual nectar-derived honey, indistinguishable by taste, and until the development of stable carbon isotope ratio analysis, nearly undetectable. A 2021 to 2022 FDA sampling program found 10% of imported honey tested to be violative. A follow-up study covering 2022 to 2023 recorded 3%, and the most recent 2025 FDA testing found a 4% violation rate across both domestic and imported samples. Adulteration numbers for EU honey in the same period ran at 14%. Nature-Nates. Nature-Nates markets its honey as 100% pure, raw, and unfiltered, and sells at a significant retail premium based on those claims. In March 2020, a class action lawsuit was filed against the company alleging that the honey had been heated to temperatures above 105 degrees Fahrenheit during processing, a threshold above which enzymes break down and the product can no longer technically be classified as raw. Lab testing cited in the complaint also alleged the presence of added syrups in sampled batches. The case was dismissed on procedural grounds in February 2021 without a verdict on the underlying merits. The product is sourced from Brazil and Uruguay. Sioux Honey, Sioux Honey Association. Sioux Bee is produced by the Sioux Honey Association, a cooperative based in Sioux City, Iowa, and bills itself as 100% pure, all-natural American honey. In January 2017, a class action lawsuit was filed in California federal court alleging that the honey was contaminated with glyphosate, the active ingredient in the herbicide Roundup, at levels incompatible with its pure and natural labeling. A separate action filed by the Organic Consumers Association and Beyond Pesticides in Washington, D.C. made parallel allegations, noting that glyphosate is classified as a probable human carcinogen and an endocrine disruptor. The company did not admit wrongdoing. Glyphosate enters honey indirectly through bees foraging near treated agricultural fields, a structural problem of industrial-scale honey production that no label disclaimer addresses. Project Honeygate. Beginning in 2008, U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement and Homeland Security investigations conducted a multi-year sting operation targeting the illegal importation of Chinese honey into the United States. China has faced anti-dumping duties on honey imports since 2001, currently set at $2.06 per kilogram, making direct importation economically unviable for fraudulent operators. Investigators found that Chinese honey was being transshipped through third countries, relabeled with false country of origin documents, and sold to U.S. processors including Grove Farms of Onsted, Michigan. One shipment seized in Philadelphia was found to contain chloramphenicol, an antibiotic banned from food products. In rare cases, chloramphenicol exposure causes aplastic anemia, a potentially fatal blood disorder. By 2013, The investigation had resulted in criminal charges against 5 individuals and 2 U.S. honey processors, with estimated duty evasion exceeding $180 million. Walmart Great Value Organic Raw Honey. In October 2023, a class action lawsuit was filed in Illinois federal court alleging that Walmart's Great Value Organic Raw Honey is neither organic nor raw. The complaint cited scientific testing showing the product was heated above 105 degrees Fahrenheit during processing, destroying the enzymes that define raw honey, and that the mannose concentration in the product was 3 times higher than the international standard set by Codex Alimentarius for unadulterated honey, indicating the presence of foreign sugars. Walmart charges a premium for the organic and raw designation. The suit alleged violations of the Illinois Consumer Fraud Act and fraudulent misrepresentation. Walmart did not recall the product. Dutch Gold Honey. Dutch Gold Honey, headquartered in Lancaster, Pennsylvania, is among the largest honey packers in the United States. It was named as a defendant in the major 2021 beekeeper class action filed in Eastern District of California, which alleged a worldwide conspiracy to introduce adulterated honey into the U.S. market under a fraudulent certification scheme operated through True Source Honey. The lawsuit accused participating companies of knowingly buying fake honey from importers and falsely certifying it as genuine, suppressing prices for domestic producers. One of the largest domestic honey producers, AD Honey Farms, alleged it was sitting on over 6 million pounds of unsold real honey because fraudulent imports had depressed market prices below viable production costs. The case was dismissed in 2024 on procedural specificity grounds. HMF. Hydroxymethylfurfuryl, abbreviated HMF, is a compound that forms in honey when it is heated. The Codex Alimentarius International Standard sets the acceptable HMF limit at 40 milligrams per kilogram. Elevated HMF is used as a proxy indicator for excessive heating or age degradation. Animal studies have associated high HMF exposure with genotoxic and mutagenic effects in cells and tumor promotion in the colon and liver of rats. The Nature Nates litigation specifically cited elevated HMF as evidence of processing temperatures incompatible with the raw label. No U.S. regulatory body currently enforces an HMF limit on retail honey. The market. The United States honey market is valued at approximately $3.1 billion as of 2024. Domestic beekeepers produce roughly 120 to 140 million pounds annually against annual consumption of 450 million pounds. The gap is filled by imports purchased and bottled by domestic packers. Reported honey fraud incidents globally surged by over 1,300% between 2020 and 2023, according to food safety intelligence firm DigiComply. In 2025, the FDA found a 4% adulteration rate in its domestic and imported sampling, a rate the agency itself described as evidence of ongoing vulnerability. The consumer paying a premium for pure, raw American honey is working with a label, not a guarantee.